I love you. I love you.
Oh, you're Grandma's big boy. Hi. Hi.
He's a very loving child.
He just lit up an entire room.
He was left with a trusted adult, and when I come back, my son was gone.
It's the third night an Idaho Falls family is spending without their son.
In the bizarre case of a 2-year-old boy who mysteriously vanishes at an Idaho campground.
We haven't found a thread.
A lot of sleepless nights.
The parents didn't ensure that someone was watching the little boy when they walked away.
There was a man who was obsessively staring at that little boy.
If anyone has him, take him somewhere and just drop him off so that we can have him home.
We will find him, no matter what it takes.
They try to get him to confess to being responsible for the disappearance of his son.
The parents of missing toddler DeOrr Kunz Jr. are now suspects in his disappearance.
Because the body of DeOrr Kunz has never been found, murder charges against his mom and dad are unlikely.
Telling us that they know that we're going to go to hell for what we did to our son, and how could we?
And I will look you straight in the eyes and I will tell you, she knows where that body is.
Did you murder your son?
Absolutely not.
Was there an accident?
No. If there was, it wasn't to my knowledge.
I have been polygraphed, yes.
And does it worry you that people are going to stop looking?
Yeah.
I don't think he's up there. I think he'd have been found if he was. Don't you?
No, man.
One year later, so many questions remain about the mysterious disappearance of DeOrr Kunz Jr. Was the toddler ever at Timber Creek Campground? Do his parents really know more about what happened to him? And is there a chance the boy is still alive? Tonight, we take a look back on the year-long search for DeOrr. The story doesn't begin at the campground. It begins here in Idaho Falls. As the sun shines over the quaint eastern Idaho city, no one prepares for the storm about to come. It's a story of two high school sweethearts, Jessica and Vernal, who take their son on a camping trip with Grandpa and his friend Isaac they never met. What happens in the next 48 hours? Investigators don't know. How does this 2-year-old vanish without a trace? Vernal gets off work around 5 o'clock, and Jessica helps him load up the truck. And then what happens?
We headed over to my mom's house to help my grandpa load up the camper onto the Suburban and make sure we had everything. And then we followed him to Isaac's house to pick Isaac up to see if he was there.
How did you find out that Isaac was going on the camping trip?
I asked my grandpa, oh, is it just me and me, you, and DeOrr and Little Man? And he said, no, I'm gonna see if my friend wants to go. He said he wanted to go fishing. He said he's a little strange, but he's a good guy.
Even more strange, during the day, Isaac is nowhere to be found.
My grandpa went to Isaac's house 3, 4, 5 times and he wasn't home. My grandpa said, let's swing by his house one more time before we head out of town. If he's not there, he's not going. And he was there the last time.
They drive more than 100 miles to Leadore.
When we got there, we stopped at the little restaurant bar. My grandpa Isaac and Vernal got out of the vehicles while I was getting Little Man out, and we were gonna go eat. My grandpa and Isaac and Vernal had turned around and said that they were closed. So I had to pick up Little Man and put him back in the truck, and we headed up to the campground.
The 5 set up camp, go to sleep, and wake up the next morning. Vernal, Jessica, and little DeOrr leave camp and go to DeOrr's only convenience store.
Brentzel went in and asked if they had diesel. The lady told him, go to, it's like a rundown diesel or another gas station, like 2 buildings down. So we went over there. Little man and I stayed in the truck while Brentzel went across the street. The guy said that the pumps were out, but to go to Peterson Welding, and they sold like red dye diesel.
Brentzel fills up his truck. They go back to the convenience store, pick up snacks, and head to the campground.
Walked down to go fishing. My son stayed with his great-grandpa, and that is the last time I saw him.
They were gone anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, came back up and realized that he was not there, or they couldn't find him. And they searched for a short time and then called us.
Not long after, nearly 100 people join the search. And they don't come alone. Horses, dogs, 4-wheelers, and a helicopter. Working in Lemhi County, lead investigator Steve Penner frequently gets called out for searches in remote areas.
Initially, it absolutely was a search and rescue. In the past, we've always been able to find him, but this case we didn't.
Lemhi County Sheriff's Office begins to investigate other angles.
In these types of things, you try to clear everybody that was there, and we were unable to do that.
Polygraphs, interrogations, and searches, but no leads. Despite the fact Lemhi County Sheriff Lynn Bowerman goes on national television calling it a homicide investigation, Lemhi County lead investigator Steve Penner says there's other possibilities.
That he wandered off, that he wandered off a short distance and there was interference or contribution with some of the local predators, that there was an accident, that there was some type of foul play involved, or abduction.
Is it rare for someone to disappear just without a trace? We're talking about a kid that had big cowboy boots on that were too big for his feet. I mean,
you can do research and find where they've gone missing, or sometimes they're missing for 2 or 3 years, and then they find something down the road.
We got involved in it because there was a report that someone saw DeOrr with a gentleman at Walmart.
The little boy in Walmart isn't DeOrr, but Sheriff Paul Wilde's office continues to assist Lemhi County.
Because the family lives here, everybody that was up at the campsite lives here. We've tried to help them out, as including the FBI and the state and all the other guys, all trying to help them out.
One thing none of the investigators can figure out is why no one from the town of DeOrr remembers seeing baby DeOrr.
why do you think nobody can place little man there?
I don't know. I honestly have no clue. Little man was in the truck the whole time with me when we got the diesel. As far as the stage shop, he was in there running around the aisles trying to figure out which candy he wanted, talking to everybody that was in the store, flirting with the clerk and stuff like that. So I don't understand how nobody remembers seeing him in there.
The lack of evidence makes this one difficult to crack. And it really makes you wonder, was the boy actually at the campground?
Until I find some hard evidence that suggests that he wasn't, I'm going to continue to believe that he was there, and I'm going to continue to look for him there.
Is there anything you've really ruled out?
At this point, no.
You will soon learn what these folks are really like.
Texas private investigator Philip Klein took DeOrr's case in November of 2015.
And this family fired our team, fired us, just in the written, you're fired. Because we came to them in a family meeting and sat down, I would say there was 12 to 14 people, and sat them down and said, this is where we have, this is where we're going, here's the evidence, guys.
But that didn't stop his firm. Klein's team conducted a search at the campground in June. He says the parents' timeline does not add up.
I'll give you one example. Jessica says she's down here fishing with a fishing pole, looking for fish, looking for tadpoles, or whatever she says she's looking for, and looks back and sees the baby walking up. But yet we put an investigator down there, we do a camera angle shot with a distance study shot. You can't see that child. It doesn't work. It doesn't happen. Even all the way down to where's the fish? I mean, we've walked this thing, where's the fish? The water's moving too fast, there's no fish. The dog did hit. I'm not gonna say it didn't, it did hit. But it didn't hit in the area that Vernal described to us. But then again, you go back to Vernal. Nothing that comes out of Vernal's mouth is the truth. Nothing.
The investigator and his team believe there is no way DeOrr is alive.
There's so much evidence at this point that points towards anything but an abduction, anything but an animal running away with this child.
Klein says he wishes someone is able to provide him credible evidence that proves his theory of homicide wrong.
Give me someone besides Isaac that says he's alive. Give me one person, just one person tell me that they saw that baby sometime Thursday or Friday. Not one person has told me that they've seen that baby on Thursday or Friday. Not one, not one.
So Isaac can place him here?
Isaac says he was here. But when you pin Isaac down on that comment and you talk to him, say, Isaac, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. I saw him. Where'd you see him? Well, you know, just around the camp. The question is Isaac mentally capable of understanding of what's going on? I think so. But is Isaac not telling us that one portion?
He says Isaac is mostly telling the truth, but as for the other three...
Why don't you just tell us the truth? If something happened to that child, why don't you just tell us? And that's why we're to the point now. If they're not willing to confess to an accident and they got scared and buried the child, what's the alternative to that? Intentional homicide.
And I met little DeOrr, baby DeOrr, right here in this body shop. So that's why I took an interest in the case. Because not one day goes by that I don't think about the little boy. I don't see his face in my memory. I dream about him at night. I wish we could find him.
Frank Wilde joined the search for DeOrr 1 month after the toddler's disappearance.
Because I've heard their dogs were up there searching, the immediate search after he was reported missing, and then the subsequent searches. And it bothered me that nothing was found.
It didn't take Wilde long to realize something wasn't right. A month and a half later, he sent this letter to the little boy's parents. I am withdrawing from the investigation because of circumstances beyond my control, including, but not limited to, a breach of trust on your part concerning your refusal to allow me to make this case national. Both of you lied and misrepresented the true facts that could solve the mystery of your missing son. My suggestion is that you fully cooperate with the Lemhi County Sheriff and tell the truth. Wilde quit his investigation, but never stopped wondering.
And I think outside the box. My law enforcement career tells me it's not just a little boy who's going to walk off. Maybe something happened to him. Maybe he was abducted.
He says there's one statement in particular that doesn't sit well with him.
Jessica saying, I kept looking back to make sure he wasn't following, so we left him with my grandfather. I kept looking back. I kept looking back. If a parent was going to leave a child with a grandparent, why would he keep looking back to make sure he was still there?
Despite the letter he sent in September of 2015 calling both parents liars, he now believes the father is oblivious to what happened.
I do know that Jessica at one time wanted to relocate to Utah. Utah has very liberal adoption laws. Even though the mother and father's name were on the birth certificate, they weren't married. So the mother has total control of what she does with that baby. Now, if the father knew that she was doing something like a prearranged adoption, he would fight it in court. Because he looked me in the eye, and I still remember him saying this. He says, Frank, that's my son. That's my flesh and blood. I would die for him. And I believed him.
But why did Vernal leave the state?
Well, I initially thought it was weird, but then it came to the conclusion, no, he's a truck driver, had an opportunity for employment, and he's not a choir boy, he's not perfect, he's done a lot of things in his life he shouldn't have done, but in this particular case, he wanted to get away from her, get away from the whole thing. I want people to know there's a possibility this little boy may be alive. If he knows something, say something. Don't be afraid.
If someone had asked me a year ago, hey, would you ever think of any of these 4 people being capable of hurting a baby? I'd have said no. You know, what we've been through, it's crossed my mind.
DeOrr's grandma, Trina Clegg, lives a whole year without any answers about what happened to her grandson. In that year, the sheriff names her daughter a suspect in his disappearance, which brings her to do the unimaginable.
I've had the conversation with her of, you know, not a conversation. I can't call it a conversation. I would call it an all-out interrogation of what happened, where were you, please let them help you if you know anything. I mean, it was something that, you know, I was never ready to face. Throwing baby DJ's picture in front of her face and asking her if she was willing to lose everything for something that, you know, was an accident or intentional. And once I felt like she didn't try to talk to me or she didn't, you know, anything, she just said, Mama, I promise you, I did not do anything to baby DeOrr. I just felt like at that point, I had to believe her.
In June of this year, something happened that she couldn't believe. Jessica married another man after leaving Vernal.
I was in shock. I did not attend the wedding because I kind of felt like it was rushed. When I asked her why, she told me that she loved him and he was a great emotional support to her.
Trina still believes in her daughter's innocence.
Baby DJ, in my opinion, is still alive. And until there's evidence, I will never, ever, ever stop believing that.
That same hope is what Vernal's sister, Tanisha O'Neill Tompkins, holds on to.
There's no proof saying that he isn't with us anymore, and I choose to believe that he was taken or handed off, and he is alive out there somewhere.
A few months after investigators call Vernal a liar and suspect, he leaves town. His sister says his move is not a sign of guilt.
I just think that he is lost in life right now, and he doesn't really know what to do. It's not that he left here, like he's not coming back. I think this is just what he needs to do right now.
Tanisha truly believes her brother is not responsible for the child's disappearance.
I feel like if they were covering for each other, by now one of them would have said something, especially like where Jessica's married now. I just don't think that they would have turned on each other by now.
Over the past 12 months, Jessica and Vernal have been called liars, suspects, and murderers. They tell me their lives have drastically changed. They split up, she remarried, and he left the state. All decisions that have been highly criticized. Tonight, they want to address the allegations investigators and the public has made against them.
And I will look you straight in the eyes and I will tell you she knows where that body is.
Philip Klein claims that you know where baby DeOrr is, that you're hiding this. Is that what you told him?
Absolutely not. Never once did I say that. He asked me where I thought my son was, and I said, I don't know. The last place that I saw my son was in those mountains, so it's hard for me to think of where else he could be, because that is the last place I saw him.
Would you like proof of where you said that?
Yeah. I feel like, you know, people ask for proof on all the stuff that he says, but can he provide it? No. So it's just, he's blowing smoke.
Despite the fact that you're not together, do you still believe in Vernal's innocence?
Yeah. I believe in both of our innocence because he was with me that whole time. The longest he was out of my sight was when he went up the embankment to go get our son. So, and that was maybe 5 minutes. So I have no doubt in my mind that he had nothing to do with it, regardless of our relationship or anything like that. I stand by the truth of it, and he was there with me.
In my opinion, yeah, she is innocent. She was with me. And I know in my heart, everybody comes up to me, do the right thing, tell the truth. I've told the truth. I have told the truth and told the truth, and I'm still, no matter what, I can't prove it. I can't prove that.
Why did you decide to leave?
Originally, I had no intentions of it. My father has really bad COPD, and I have family in another area that has a lot better elevation, that is a lot better. The heat helped him breathe. So I just decided to help. I'll come help you move, get you situated and settled. And then I come across a good job. Met a good family that provided me with a good job, and I stayed. I agreed to it because I didn't know what else to do. You know, so I just stayed. And it's not like it helps anything. It's not like it puts a smile on your face, but you're not constantly being stared at. You're not constantly being reminded of what people think of you wrongfully.
People have been critical of some of your recent personal decisions. What do you have to say to them?
I'm trying to pick up the pieces of my life the best that I can. I found happiness in somebody that is there for me, that supports me, that supports, me through the hardest time in my life and stands by me throughout all of this and doesn't ever question, did you have something to do with this?
If her husband was able to give her a happiness and a joy, who am I to stop that? I just wanted everybody happy. That's how I've always been my whole life. I want people happy. And if Jessica's happy, there won't be a single problem out of me. There won't be a single complaint out of me.
People say, oh, she shouldn't have been out dating and this and this and this. It wasn't like I went out and that's what my intentions were. It was, we met, we clicked, and we fell in love. So it is what it is. You can't control that kind of stuff. You can't control when it happens or how it happens. It just does.
What would you say to baby DeOrr?
I love you, Bubba. You're my pride and joy. As a family, every one of us love you, and we pray every day that we'll be reunited again, and we'll do sparklers. We'll have 4th of July. We'll do your birthdays. We'll do everything that we've missed, because there's not a day that goes by that we don't miss you.
We gotta go there.
Daddy's never forgot you, and he never will. I will find you. Till the day I die, I will continue. You will always be in my mind, and I will do whatever it takes to find you. And I love you, son. More than anything in this world. I love you.
Oh, what a good question. We're coming for you. We didn't forget about you. Our lives have not moved on. Our lives are still up here on this mountain looking. We're coming for you. That would be I would tell him, if he could hear my voice, which I hope he hears my voice in heaven, we're coming for you.
I would just say that I hope he's being taken care of. That I love him more than anything in this world. And we miss him, and we want him to come home.
You are loved. You are a child of our community. And we will do everything we can to solve this case and make sure that we have the answers and the facts.
You know, I would just, you know, I'm not going to give up.